So, today I fucked up by telling a waitress I had already beaten their hot wing challenge. Obligatory, this didn't happen today, but was actually a few years ago, but I'm sure you people of Reddit will still be able to enjoy my pain. So, as the title suggests, I like spicy things. I have a large collection of hot sauce at home. I've tried most of the world's super hot peppers, and I've won numerous hot wing challenges. Usually I'm fine, but as I've aged, occasionally I find that my stomach suffers. Nothing too extreme, but a lot of noise and sometimes a little bit of ring of fire. Cut to the day of this specific incident. I live in a medium-sized city in Canada. My brother-in-law used to live in another city about 140 kilometers or 90 miles away. So for context, and this becomes important, about an hour and a half by car. This day in particular, we went to visit so we could drive him back to our house for the weekend. Now, we did this pretty often. Usually when we do, we find a restaurant to grab a bite to eat before we head home. The last few times we went out, I found a small pub that specialized in buffalo wings. At the back of the menu, they advertised a hot wing challenge where if you finish their hottest wings, you eat free. Without an ounce of hesitation, I ordered the challenge wings. The waitress asked, "Are you sure?" To which I replied, "I like hot foods, and I can't turn down an opportunity to eat free wings." She laughed and got my wings. They were hot, but I had definitely eaten hotter. And so I got my free wings, paid for my girlfriend's meal and my beer, and went away. In the coming months, I did this twice more. Each time the waitress would ask, "Are you sure?" Each time I would say yes. Each time I got free wings. It was wonderful. Cut to this last time. We go to our favorite wing place. We waltz in with an air of familiarity and seat ourselves. The waitress, whom I later found out is the owner, comes in to take our order. My girlfriend, daughter, and brother-in-law order, and the waitress turns to me and asks what I'll be having. I'd say, "I'd like to do the hot wing challenge, please." The waitress once again asks, "Are you sure?" This is where I messed up. I stupidly told her, "Oh yeah, I've done this lots." Dear reader, when you tell the owner of an establishment that you've already eaten a free meal at their place and now you just got to fleece them out of another order of wings, they do not take it well.
Yeah.
Our previously friendly waitress turns to me and coldly says, "Oh, have you? Then this should be easy for you." It was not.
Yep.
My wings came and everyone's eyes went wide as they leaned away from the meal. Instantly, everyone's eyes water and the waitress/owner grins a big, toothy, mirthless grin. She says, "Enjoy," and walks away. I cannot convey to you in mere words the pain that I suffered eating these wings. I took my first bite and it was searing doom. An explosion of nuclear fire blanketed my palate, not unlike what I'm sure the people at Pompeii would have experienced during the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. My body began shivering and sweating. A river of snot and tears ran down my face. Twice I went to the washroom to cry to myself and to question my life choices. Though no one expected me to finish, I endured. When it was finally over, everyone was silent. We paid without a word and left. In the car, my girlfriend turned to me and tentatively asked, "Are you okay?" When I nodded in affirmation, she just said, "Are you sure?" I looked at her, expressionless. We began our drive home.
Yep.
Again, I would like to reiterate that generally I don't experience much in the way of after effects from spicy food. This was different though. I could feel the burn in my esophagus still, right down to my stomach, and my stomach was getting worse. I was getting bloated and uncomfortable. About a half an hour into this hour-and-a-half drive is becoming increasingly uncomfortable to the point where I'm shifting uncomfortably in the driver's seat. My girlfriend again asked if I'm okay. I tell her something is off. She suggested stopping to use the bathroom, which I declined. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, and I felt like it would be best if I was at home when I did something instead of some filthy gas station restroom. An hour into the drive, and this discomfort is full on pain. Bad pain. I step on the gas, blowing well past the speed limit. I didn't care. I just needed to get home. My stomach had decided it was no longer going to house the abominations, and one way or the other, they were coming out.
No.
When we finally got there, I put the car in park and ran to the front door. I fumbled with my keys while everyone else got out of the car. The door finally opened and I vaulted up the stairs, 4 at a time, while simultaneously undoing my pants. It was a race to the toilet and I was losing. Just as I got to the bathroom, it happened. I got the door mostly closed before a violent spray erupted from my asshole.
Oh no.
Painting the back of the door and the floor. To minimize the splash zone, I made an executive decision. The bathtub instead of the toilet.
What?
I launched myself into the tub and started doing the best to get the clothes off. After a while, I'm violently shitting and throwing up all over myself. My girlfriend, God love her, came upstairs and with a look of absolute disgust at my vile bodily expulsions, took my dirty clothes away and cleaned the door, walls, and floor. She came back upstairs after starting the laundry and turned the shower on to my battered, burning body. I was cowering in the fetal position as the warm water hit me. Still amazed at the backlash a pound of spicy buffalo wings was able to put forth, she asked me in a sweet voice if I had learned my lesson. I feebly replied, yes. I lied. And I lied. Today I effed up by taking my mom to see Barbie. My mom is in her 70s and understandably has been through a lot of stuff in her lifetime. She has been the first female ex in her workplace several times and has admitted her obsession with my appearance is because she experienced a lot of comments regarding her looks with what's inappropriate for women throughout her life. We both wanted to see the movie and we both had an idea about the subject matter, but she wouldn't have gone if I hadn't suggested it. We saw it this morning, and let me tell you, I was not expecting to cry that much. Also, shout out to the guy sitting next to me who was crying into his girlfriend's shoulder. Ever since we got out, my mom has not stopped crying. She's also admitted to a few things and she's never told me before. Apparently, there have been 2 occasions where she was forced to leave her job because her husband started working there. I didn't know that was a thing. What the hell? And this was in the 80s. She was sexually assaulted by a now thankfully retired politician she worked with and couldn't say anything. She was forced out of a job because her boss's wife was jealous of her. She literally called this guy her second father, but somehow she was the threat. And my father apparently repeatedly telling her that she should be grateful for the things that he's done for her, like buying a family house when he was forced to move to the other side of the world without consulting her. A house which was sold for less than market value in the divorce, and supporting her when she didn't have a job as a result of said move to the other side of the world where she didn't have permission to work. She's already been a bit, shall we say, somber recently due to her fear of aging, but she seems to have spent the last few hours doing nothing but going over her mistakes and regrets, and I don't know how to help her. And then there's an edit. Obligatory, wow, this blew up. Seriously, I was expecting like 5 replies. Thank you to everybody who responded. My brain likes to make me blame myself for every tiny bad thing that happens, and my mom crying equals bad emotions, hence why I believed I effed up. My mom is okay. She's been exceptionally sappy over the last couple of days, but otherwise she does seem lighter. So you guys were right. We hadn't talked much specifically about the things she had mentioned then, but I've let her know that she can talk to me about anything, and she's since told me some other stuff, less depressing things about her life that she's never told me before. I did tell her that the lovely people of the internet think she's amazing, which made her cry. Good tears. I may try to broach the subject of therapy with her again, as she previously has been quite resistant. She's been so busy just surviving and giving everything to her kids that she's never had time to process anything. And she recently has come to accept that the divorce was not her fault, which is massive progress for her. And thank you to everybody who shared their experiences as well. I hate that so many people can see themselves in my mom's experience. I hate this is a conversation we're still having, but in some ways I'm kind of glad this seemingly lighthearted movie is provoking these conversations. My 23 female boyfriend, 24 male, wants to move in with me, and I want him to live alone first.
That's fair.
Okay, I can see that.
So he's moving straight from his parents to you. And
Yes.
You don't want that.
Yes. So my boyfriend and I have been together for 10 months. He lives with his parents, 50s, male and female, and younger brothers 10, 16, 18, no sisters. Before current events, he was over at my place basically every night. A couple of nights ago, he said he wants to move in with me if I'm up for it. I've been at his place more than once, and I've seen how their dynamic works. His mother does everything for all 5 men in the house. Cooking, cleaning, the works. Basically, all they have to do is put their laundry away after she washes, dries, irons, and folds it. The reason the parents aren't forcing them to contribute is that was the parents' agreement. He works and she stays at home, so she raises the kids / runs the household, and he pays for everything. With one of the clauses being that as she does everything, there's no need to involve the boys. As a result, my boyfriend cannot do anything. I don't know how much of this is actual cluelessness or if he's just trying to get out of doing stuff, but he has told me, like, completely sincere, and I checked with his mom, that he can't even fry an egg, which is why when my boyfriend suggested moving in together, I said that I wanted him to live alone first. His plan was basically to go straight from his mother's house to my flat, and I told him my hesitation, which is that he can't do chores. He then offered to pay more rent, 75% in exchange for me doing all the chores. I said, no, I don't want to be his mother or his maid. I want to be his girlfriend. Then I told him I wanted him to live alone, going from his mother's house to his own place, figuring out how to do all those things he's never done for himself, learning some basic life skills, and then revisit us living together. This caused a huge argument, biggest we've ever had. He's taken me saying he has no life skills as an insult, which it kind of is to be fair, and has basically said that clearly I don't want to live with him at all. I pushed the moving in time back and have only said we'd revisit it after a few months of living with him alone. I did say revisit because I wanted to make sure he actually knew what he was doing and wouldn't immediately switch back to offering more rent for no chores. This was a couple of nights ago and he just stopped talking to me. He's at his mom's, he's online, he's talking to his mutual friends who have said he's responding. He just won't answer any of my calls and texts. He told our friends what happened and they all have his side, saying that I was really mean and cruel. I love him and I do want to live with him eventually. I just don't want to live with him if I'm doing everything. And the one thing I don't want him is paying extra for me to do all the housework. Is there some sort of compromise or some other option I'm not seeing? What can I do to fix this? And then there's a mini update. So update, he called me and agreed to talk. He then basically said that he was never going to be willing to learn to do anything and even suggested dividing up the chores. Then I do my half and he'd hire a maid to do his half. Suffice to say, this was something of a turnoff. And by the end of the conversation, we broke up. My girlfriend got an illegal Airbnb ring and her apartment complex busted. We live in a new and small apartment complex, only 40 units within 2 buildings. It's very low key and within walking distance to our downtown. It's very affordable for how convenient a location it is. Back in September, we noticed the vacant unit beside us was getting moved into by a new tenant with furniture, decor, etc. One weekend, not long after moving in, we heard what sounded like a little party with music and loud voices well past midnight. We heard a lot of people coming in and out of the front, but letting the door slam each time to where it shook the walls. Maybe they were having a housewarming party or friends get together to a new place. So we brushed it under the rug as a one-time incident. For the next few weeks, we noticed a variety of people coming in and out of this apartment, and none of them seemed to be the same individuals. Parking always started to become more busy than usual, as well as the cars kept changing. Something seemed off. My girlfriend started working night shift for her job not long after the neighboring apartment became occupied. She's a light sleeper, and she noticed that all throughout the morning and before going to work, the neighbor's door was always slamming and shaking the walls. She understood that people are active in the day, and she can't ask people to cater to her night shift needs, but she felt the constant slamming of doors was not only disruptive, but unusual behavior. One particular morning was the straw that broke the camel's back. She had finally had enough because of the effect it was having on her sleep. She wanted to see who was slamming the doors. She heard the door slamming around 10:30 a.m., got up and witnessed people walking into their car with suitcases and leaving. Soon after, a man arrived and pulled up to the front doormat and retrieved a key and let 2 women with cleaning supplies into the apartment. Each time they entered or left the door would slam and shake the wall. Seeing this, she searched Airbnb and almost immediately found the rental unit next door. Same floor plan, wall paint, flooring. To our surprise and anger, we found a total of 4 listings in our apartment complex alone on the host profile. That is 10% of the apartments in our building. Through the listing, we found the individual's LinkedIn website. On his website, he claims that he does something called retail arbitrage. Essentially, it's renting out a long-term rental on a short-term basis, lease an apartment, and rent it on Airbnb for profit. This can be done legally within the landlord's permission. The lease agreement does not allow for subletting or short-term rentals. They were renting out 3 of the 4 ground-end units offered, units with unique floor plans. The 4th unit was a handicap accessible unit. That's right. The man and his business partner leased an apartment meant for accommodating people with disabilities with the intention of using it for his little short-term business empire he was trying to build. Our city and region, like in other places, have been feeling the squeeze of the apartment availability, and these dickheads are contributing to the problem. It was at this point we took this personally, as we had our own problems dealing with apartment availability, wait lists, disappointment, and frustration. My girlfriend called the leasing office and notified them of the neighboring unit that is being rented out on Airbnb and asked if that was allowed, to which the office gave an emphatic absolutely not, and asked for the listing to be sent to them in an email. Later that day, the office called her back and said they notified the tenant that they will be inspecting the apartments the following afternoon. After the inspection was completed, the office notified that they had sent a cease and desist document of any rental activities outside the lease agreement or face eviction. They are also informed that you should not have any problems concerning the matter, and if you do, don't hesitate to give us a call. Now, this asshole has 4 leases he's stuck paying $1,500 a month for, and he can't make any more money through Airbnb. He's bleeding money at the tune of $6,000 a month. His only legal options are to continue paying for them or to break the lease and vacate. Last week, we watched as the movers emptied out the apartments. I'm sure they lost deposits and were penalized for breaking the leases. A very expensive lesson for being a greedy entrepreneur. Don't be dickheads, folks. Also, don't piss off night shift workers trying to sleep.